다 먹었어. 훔쳤어.
그렇지.
일주일에 어쩌는데.
Да, да, да. He was being ridiculous before he even got on the phone because he was